Hello, nerds and ghouls. Today, I want to cover the Pagemaster while we are talking about everything spooky, scary, pop culture, and nerdy related. So, the Pagemaster, 1994 classic, right? Absolute classic. Starring Macaulay Culkin, who at the time was in his major child star era. He was starring in Home Alone, in Richie Rich, in My Girl, which, oh my god, absolute heartbreak. He was starring in a multitude of movies and basically funding his entire family's existence. So he plays Richard, who is a kid who is scared by everything. And in 1994, it is impressive the amount of knowledge he has as to accident statistics, because that is his special interest, you might say, is accident statistics. So he knows exactly how likely it is that you die in a car crash or getting hit by a bus or a plane flying out of the sky or getting hit by lightning, or if there's a freak storm. He knows exactly how likely it is that you drown in a massive puddle, which is impressive in 1994, given that it's like a very non-digital age, because now you can just Google that shit. Like, you can find multiple sources where you can find that exact information. So, massive storm. Richard has to go into the library because that is the only place that he can go into while there's this massive storm, to try and call his parents, to try and, seek shelter from the storm, essentially. So, while he's in the library, he comes across Mr. Dewey, named after the Dewey Decimal System because the writers were clever. So he meets Mr. Dewey, played by the iconic Christopher Lloyd. So he's like, "Oh, you want a book? You want a fantasy book? You want an adventure book? You want a horror book?" And he's like, "You can go to anywhere with a library card." So he gives him a library card, and Richard's like, "No, I just want your phone." Because Richard has apparently never been into a library, which makes no sense with his kind of, yeah, with his special interest of accident statistics. You'd think that he'd need to take out a book or two. So, I digress. He meets Mr. Dewey. Mr. Dewey says, "Yeah, if you go down that aisle, go straight all the way down, and, there is a phone. You cannot miss the phone at all." Richard then goes into the aisles, and a massive dragon appears off of the ceiling. So, all of the paint from, the mural on the ceiling of the Pagemaster, this big iconic wizard, just melts down into a paint dragon, which then turns into waves, which chases him through the library and makes him a cartoon. Yeah. So part of it is animated, part of it is not animated, but I like the mixing of the two, okay? So he then quickly meets this book that looks just like a fairy, which is fantasy. Voiced by the iconic Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, this cast is stacked already. So she's like, "Oh, do you like fairy stories? Do you like fantasy stories?" And he's like, "No, I'm not a book person. How do I get out of here?" They then meet several other books and characters throughout their journey. So they meet Horror, voiced by Frank Welker, otherwise known as Scooby Doo. Yeah, he's in this too. We then also meet Adventure, who is voiced by Patrick Stewart. Again, stacked voice cast. And while we're in the horror realm, we also meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, who are voiced by Leonard Nimoy. So the cast in this was incredible. It was so good just to get panned off, essentially. And I don't get it. I don't get it. But basically, he has to go through all of these lands to get home. He has to face his fears. He has to fight pirates. He has to save people. He has to, deal with Jekyll and Hyde. Like, there are so many iconic moments in this movie, as well as an iconic cast, and it baffles me that it didn't do better. But the moral of the story ends up being he had to face his fears in order to get home. And that's what I love about the Pagemaster, is that it does have that story, and yes, it's a little bit of a generic kind of premise to be like, oh, okay, well, he's now not afraid of anything. But yes, it's a generic premise, but none of the rest of it is generic. I think it was ahead of its time, and I think that's part of the reason. But we will get into the reasons that it could have potentially flopped at a later, later on in the video. I was going to say at a later date, not a later date, later in the video. So, I love this movie. The ending is kind of sweet. He takes the books home, and his dad finds him in the treehouse that he would never set foot in like earlier on. He would never set foot in because, well, what if I fall from the tree, or what if lightning strikes the tree house, or anything like that. And he's there cuddling his books, and then his mum just steals his glasses. I don't understand why she takes his glasses. Just put them next to him, like, because if the kid can't see without his glasses, then like, why are you taking them down the tree and back into the house? Because surely that's going to put him in way more danger. But that's just me. Now we'll get into the reasons why it flopped. Now, why did it flop? So you could argue, like I said earlier, it was a victim of its time. It was very much ahead of its time. So Richie being a stats nerd in 1994 and not having set foot in a library is not believable, because you didn't have, the gargantuan internet. You didn't have the ability to just Google anything at your fingertips. It would have had to be very analog. So it's very much ahead of its time in that. It could be the fact that it came out in the same year as The Lion King and it was a non-Disney animation. It could be the marketing. A lot of people argue that it is the marketing because it's marketed more horror than anything. And looking back at the promos, it kind of is. It's very heavy on the horror aspect. And the stuff that didn't make it in that's in the promos. So like Frankenstein's monster was meant to be in it, and I'm a huge Frankenstein's monster fan. So like it would have been amazing if we'd have got a glimpse of him. So yeah, it could have been that. It actually earned a Razzie. Macaulay Culkin earned a Razzie for that movie. He was a child and they were bullying him. Yeah, for being like the worst actor, and it's like, no, he was actually really good, like given the context of the film. It also could have been that it was made to be a cult classic. There are a few films that came out that I feel are made to be cult classics. This is one of them. This is one. Lisa Frankenstein is one. Hook is another, because Hook flopped. There were so many films that came out in like the 90s and 2000s which like absolutely flopped, but people love. Like they shaped generation. And this is one of them. So yeah, that is my little spiel on the Pagemaster. I absolutely love this movie, and the fact that it flopped kind of upsets me, but it's also really cool because now people are discovering a movie that they may not have seen in the cinema, they may not have been around for it, they may have skipped it because, Lion King was coming out, it wasn't a Disney animation, or, whatever reason, and they're discovering it now. I fought hard to find my Blu-ray copy of it, and I have it. And it's my prized possession. I'll be completely honest with you, it's my prized possession. But yeah, if you liked this video or any of my other content on other social media, then hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will be giving you more movie, TV show, nerdy, spooky content in the future. Stay spooky, bitches.